So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and Hotfix 13 for Specters of the Rail has dropped and it has quite a few changes. So first of all, Mac Prime, Dakra Prime and Boar Prime have returned to the Primed Vault. Now, unlike with the previous system, that doesn't mean that you can't get them anymore. If you have the right relics, you can still farm for them. Because with this new relic system, what they're doing is not removing the primed items, but they are making the relics that drop these prime items unobtainable. Now, you may be asking, well, what about the other items? These relics didn't drop Mac Prime, Dakra Prime and Boar Prime exclusively, and that's why they added a new relic called AxiV3, which drops all the remaining items that were on these relics but weren't vaulted. And if I understand the patch notes correctly, you can only get the AxiV3 relic as a reward from Orokin Daralight Survival. That's kind of weird. Now, I'm very happy that they did it this way rather than removing the items and replacing them with something else, because as someone who has 30 plus of these relics, I can stockpile them, refine them so they have the highest chance of dropping Mag, Dakra or Boar parts, and then I can do an event on stream where I invite people that don't have these prime items and we can crack those relics together. And for other people, this is awesome as well, because you are no longer limited by time. You can farm a ton of relics, then you can take your time and refine them so you have the best drop chances, and then you can farm them. I can't even remember how many times I farmed a ton of void keys to go after a specific item and then didn't have enough time to run all the void keys before the item was vaulted. So in my opinion, this is a much better way of doing things. Another change that made it in, and the change I talked about 2 weeks ago, is the change to ducat prices. So they unified all the ducat prices, so all common items will sell for 15 ducats, all uncommon items will sell for 45 ducats, and all rare items will sell for 100 ducats. But as you can see in the post, these values may and probably will change. And with this change, the best thing you can do to farm ducats is to basically refine every relic you run with 100 traces, which is not going to be as much of a pain in the ass anymore, because they also increase the amount of void traces you can have on you at any given time, making it 100 base plus 50 for each mastery rank. So if you're, for example, mastery rank 10, you will have 100 void traces as base plus 50 times 10, which is 500, so in total you'll be able to store 600 void traces. Once again, a very good change because I was very unhappy with the previous cap. And the final change I want to talk about today is something that you've probably already noticed. They changed the way fissures work. So instead of simply running a mission, finding one fissure, opening it, then closing it with the reactant, which will crack your relic, fissures will now spawn throughout the entire mission. Each fissure will spawn with a couple of enemies that still drop reactant, but once you kill the enemies, the fissure will close and reopen somewhere else. You no longer have to run to the reactant and pick it up and then bring it to the fissure. You simply run over it, which will pick it up, and once you've picked up 10 of them, your relic will simply crack open and you will get your item at the end of the mission. And if you're wondering about the acquisition of void traces, don't worry, because if you've collected 10 reactant, you will randomly get between 6 and 30 void traces at the end of the mission. And no, you do not need a relic to get void traces, so you can just run a fissure mission without a relic and you will still get them. And I guess I kind of like this system, especially in public groups, because I can't even tell you how many times I ran a capture mission with a public group that had a fissure in it. People ran up to the capture target, alerted it, so he started running away, but as they were chasing him, they saw a fissure and went, "Ooh, a piece of candy," and let the target run away while standing around in a fissure, failing the mission. And it also deals with an issue that I've encountered a couple of times where I would open a fissure and the enemies would not drop anywhere near enough reactant, making me fail the mission because of RNG. And since the fissures just spawn randomly throughout a mission, it makes the missions more interesting as well. And before I end the video, I just want to say that the Excel tab that I did with all the relic drops has been simplified and updated and re-uploaded to Google Docs. So I simply removed all the ducat prices and I simply added 15 to the common drops, 45 to the uncommon drops and 100 to the rare drops, and I've added the new AxiV3 relic, which has Trinity Prime Systems, Trinity Prime Neuroptics and Vasto Prime Barrel as common drops, Bratton Prime Receiver and Orthos Prime Blueprint as an uncommon drop, and Vectis Prime Stock as a rare drop. And if you'd like to check it out or even download it, all you have to do is simply click the link in the description. And that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today. However, if you'd like to read the whole thing, the link to the forum post is once again in the description. I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.